A strange thing happens to a lot of men as they get older. From the outside, their life still looks functional. They're providing, they're working, handling responsibilities, showing up, whatever that looks like in their real life. And if you looked quickly, you probably say something like, "There's a good man," or that's the thought that people have. But if you sit with that guy long enough, you start noticing something underneath the surface. Not chaos, not a total collapse, something quieter than that. His laugh is thinner than it used to be. He gets irritated faster. He struggles to rest, even when he finally has time to do so. He scrolls longer at night. He avoids certain conversations. His body feels heavier. His mind feels louder. His patience gets shorter. And his world gets smaller. And the strangest part, most men can't explain why it's happening. Because externally, nothing looks catastrophic enough to justify how internally disconnected they feel. That's where a lot of guys get confused. They think, maybe I'm just getting older. Maybe this is normal. Maybe this is just life. But usually, that's not what's happening at all. What's actually happening is drift. Slow, internal drift. And drift is dangerous because it rarely feels dramatic while it's happening. It just slowly pulls a man away from himself. The slide. Away from his peace, away from his clarity, away from his authority, and away from God. Not all at once. It's an inch at a time. And most men respond to that drift the same way. They try harder. More work, more grinding, more productivity, more pressure, more distraction, more scrolling, more dopamine, more pushing through. But pressure is never going to fix drift. Pressure usually just exposes it. And that's why some men become emotionally reactive, even though they're responsible guys. That's why some men feel exhausted, even after a vacation. That's why some men can build businesses while quietly losing connection at home. The external structure is still standing, but internally, the wiring is on fire. The wiring is burning. And eventually, the leaks start showing up everywhere. Marriage tension, short fuse, late night numbing, loss of vision, loss of hunger, loss of presence, and man, just a complete loss of peace. And it's not because this guy is weak. It's usually because he's been carrying too much for too long without recalibrating internally. This is one of the biggest lies men believe, that discipline alone solves everything. It doesn't. A disciplined man can still drift. A productive man can still feel spiritually numb. A provider can still quietly lose himself. Because drift is not just behavioral, it's directional. And direction is always internal first. That's why in Resurrection Kings, we don't start with motivation. We start with exposure. We identify the internal stronghold underneath the pattern. Usually fear, shame, doubt, or scarcity. It sounds crazy, I know, but listen to what they sound like inside your head. Fear usually says, if I slow down, everything falls apart. Shame, the voice of shame sounds like I should be further ahead by now. Doubt says, maybe this is just who I am. And scarcity says, there's never enough margin. Most men have been listening to one of those voices for so long, they think it's their personality. It's not. It's a stronghold. And once a man finally names the thing that's driving him, something strange happens. The mental noise starts breaking. Not overnight, but immediately. because confusion loses power when truth gets specific. That's why the first real breakthrough most men experience isn't motivation, it's relief. Relief that I'm not crazy, I'm not lazy, I'm not broken. I've been fighting the wrong enemy. And that's the shift, man. Once a man can finally see the real enemy, he can finally stop shadowboxing his own life. That's where authority starts returning. Quietly, steadily, honestly, not hype, authority. And if this resonates with you, here's where I want you to start. Ask yourself, what has actually been driving me lately? Not the surface behavior. Look underneath of it. Fear, shame, doubt, scarcity. Because the moment that you name it, you stop fighting shadows, and that's where reconstruction begins.